So the desire stuff is super, super important. And as a result, like in January and early February, I'm firing off different sigils, and there was some cross currents. And it wasn't because I wanted one thing, like I want 5 children and I want no children or something. It wasn't complete nullification so much as wanting certain things without specifying time limits, stuff for the farm versus stuff for travel, like here I am collecting infinity stones and so on, was generating cross currents. And my soul for that was to spend a couple of days of sigil credits, if you will, saying or having statements, all my sigils manifest smoothly, all my sigils manifest for the highest good of all, that kind of stuff. So I did about 3, those 2, and there was another one. I used the word no sigils counteract. It was something like that, but it wasn't that. That's kind of negative, but you get what I mean. But I used 3 sigil credits, give or take, in a row. Honestly, all my sigils manifest smoothly, all my sigils manifest for the highest good of all is going to be enough to do it. But that was super interesting because I'd never done magic at a, when I say that, I'd never done practical enchantment at this high volume, which is the whole fucking point of the exercise, right? I'd never done them at this high volume. And that was the big kind of like steep, there was the big bump at the middle of, or rather the beginning of this process. There's another one as we're now here in this final, like final third to the middle part of this process that I'll talk about in a minute. But the other thing is, once you get over that and once you let them become smooth, I've moved into a bit more of that loosey-goosey phase. So I'm going to give you some examples. I've written them all down of sigils that if you're playing along, or even if you're not, like you can start now, you can just use any of these. But these are a whole bunch of statements of sigils that I've put out in the last couple of weeks, which I think might, well, I'm going to share them in case they're of use to you. So the first one, lower world gifts. Next one is get better at filming every day. That's me specific at the moment, right? Like, I guess that makes sense. You would have worked that out. The obstacle is the way. Happy healing spirits. Commander of angels, and this one's a bit weird, like titles of gods and angels from grimoires. So Sabaoth, for instance, as a sigil that name. Be still and know that I am God. Safe travel by sea. Powerful body. I thought about that from like a healthy body perspective. I like powerful body. Like I've done a bunch of healing stuff with sigils as well, but there's no age where you don't want your body to be able to express power, right? Like everyone knows that from like a retaining muscle as you age, etc., etc. So that's what that one's about. Portals, literally just portals. The next one, portals to a happier timeline. I mean, why the fuck not? Feeling is the secret, and that's a Neville Goddard reference that will come up again later in this episode. But those are the kind of things I really like. Lower world gifts. And by the way, I ended up finding a couple of crystals that are Bolivia specific. It's beautiful, actually. It's a cross between amethyst and citron the next day after that one. And in some of the shamanic healing work I do, the underworld looks like almost like Gimli's glittering caves in a lot of cases, like the crystals are from there and so on. So that was an interesting thing that was useful. But lower world gifts is, I guess, a more shamanic way of talking about, shadow work and so on. Those are some examples that you can use directly or as inspiration for your own, because I don't know, some of you might be running on desired tank fumes. You never know. And we're always going to get to this point, and I want these to be able to transform into new and exciting opportunities to do more sigils as they land on the timeline, like the portals to a new timeline as we get closer and closer to World War III, etc., etc.